Rebecca here and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. So glad that you found me. Today I am going to be doing something a little bit different for my videos. I am going to be doing a little Mythbusters science experiment. And I love science, I love doing experiments and these kind of things. This isn't a very intricate experiment by any means, but I did think that it was something that the sewing world needed to be able to see and get the answer to. So what is this experiment we're going to be doing? Well, we are going to be taking these FriXion pens, which these are just pens. I'm not 100% sure if that's how you say it, but it's FriXion, and they are erasable pens. So these are just pens that you can get at your Walmart, wherever, in your school supplies, office supplies. They come in packs of different colors. This is a pink one. They're black, all different colors. But if you are in the sewing world, you may have seen or had somebody tell you that these make great marking tools because they disappear in heat. Now, this is not the part that we are myth busting, because that is true. I will show you here in a minute. You scribble on things, give it a nice press, everything is gone. But what people are saying is that when it gets cold, it comes back. And I'm gonna be honest, I have used these and never had that issue, but we're gonna put that to the test and we're gonna try different scenarios and see what happens. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just show you how these work, and this black one is actually out of ink. So I'm gonna use this pink one for everything, and let's get myth busting. So the first thing I'm going to do is just show you how this works and what we're doing. So I'm going to take my pen, like I said, and I'm going to do it on a couple different pieces just to see. This is a cotton woven, 100% cotton. This is just a piece of paper, and this is a rib knit poly spandex fabric. So like I said, we're just trying a bunch of different things. So I'm just going to scribble a design on that paper, and on here you can see the lines, scribble on there, and then this I'm gonna try to draw on. All right, that should be good enough. You can see there, this one was just a little bit hard to draw on because of the knit. And then here, this one's a little bit hard to see as well. Now we are going to take these and give them a press with the iron, and I'm going to show you how it just poof disappears. All right, I have all of my pieces here. I have my hot iron, and so again, we'll do one at a time. Here is my paper. Just going to press, and look at that, it is gone. Now we're going to do this one and just go over it, and good as new. And now this one had those stripes in it that were a little bit hard to see, but we're going to just give it a nice press, and they are gone. So now on to the fun part. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to be putting these in the freezer. So that's the coldest spot that I have access to, and probably not really any colder than anything else anybody's going to have. So I'm going to put these all, just going to set them in my freezer, just like I did. I just pressed them, and we're going to put them in the freezer, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to start it, just, we're going to give it half an hour and come back and check and see if the ink has come back or not. Alright, so now I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes. You can see here it's 8:43. So I'm going to set my timer, and we will be back to check on those when that goes off. All right, my timer's going off. We're back. All right, let me know what you think before I open the freezer. Drop a comment. Is the ink going to be back or not? So go drop that comment, and then now it is time for the moment of truth. Again, remember, 30 minutes in the freezer. And look, there's the white one. It's back on there. And it's back again. And here is the paper. All right, so 30 minutes in the freezer. The ink did come back. So this myth is not busted because the ink clearly comes back in the cold. But now I'm going to try some different things. So I'm going to give these a press again. And let's cut the time down to 20 minutes this time and see how that goes. So I'm going to go press these real quick, get rid of the ink, and then we're going to come back and put it in the freezer and wait 20 minutes. All right, so I went ahead and I pressed all of those. You can see the ink is gone on all of these, and I did cut this one and I starched it with Mary Ellis Best Press this time, which is supposed to have a stain guard in it, and then I colored on it and pressed it out. So this is just another one that we're gonna try. So I'm gonna put these back in the freezer, and we're going to set my timer for 20 minutes, and we'll see if that changes anything. All right, my timer is going off, so 20 minutes. Let's see. All right, so first we have the rib, and it is coming back on that one. And let's see. Okay. So it looks like this one is a little bit harder to see, but it did come back on all of these. So 20 minutes in the freezer, the ink did come back. So now I think let's take it down to 10 minutes and see what happens. So I'm gonna go press these out, and I'm also going to make some new marks on the fabric. This one I feel like is fine, but I kind of feel like it's fading a little bit on the fabric pieces. I'm not sure if that's just me thinking that, but I do feel like it's coming back a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna make some new marks as well and then get rid of those, and then we can kind of compare if maybe it does fade the more that you press it out. I don't know, let's find out. All right, I decided to throw another process in the ring for this to just test it out and see what happens. So I scribbled on this fabric here. I'm going to press it out, and then I'm going to throw it in the wash and dry it, and then put it in the freezer and see if it comes back. I think I'm gonna do another one and draw on it, not press it, and then put it in the wash and dryer. I'll look at it after the wash. I think the wash, it'll probably stay, but I'm thinking that the dryer, the heat is going to make the ink disappear, and then we will try from there. So I'm going to get another piece of fabric and get that done and get those in the wash so that we can test that method out as well. All right, so I have all of these pressed, and I'm going to put them back in the freezer for 10 minutes. And I will say, I forgot to show you, maybe I'll show you on the next one, but it is definitely fading. I drew some new fresh lines on it, and it was so much darker. Like, it's probably at least half as light as what it was. So I'll show you that. And then I'm gonna try 3 in the washer. So I have this one that I just drew on and pressed. This one I starched with Best Press, which is also supposed to be a stain guard, and then drew on it and then pressed it to see if maybe the Best Press acts as a stain guard, that it comes off. I don't know. Like I said, we're just trying all kinds of different things here. And then this one I just drew on straight fabric and didn't press it. So we're going to throw these in the wash. I'm going to wash on just color, so like kind of a warmish water, and then dry on high, which is typically how I do laundry. I'm just going to put it in with my regular laundry and dry them and see how those go. So once I do all that, I will be back here in 10 minutes for these, and then the ones that are going in the laundry, it's obviously going to be a little bit, but once those are washed and dried, I will come back and show you, and then we will decide how long I'm going to put them in the freezer for. All right, our 10 minutes is up, so let's pull those out. And it's back on the paper. All right, so here you can kind of see, this was the new mark I made and this was the light mark. So this is already lighter than when I just made it, but look how much this one has faded already. So there might be something to this, that then we can at least get it to fade. So after 10 minutes, it appeared back on the paper, and the knit, it also is back on this one. You can kind of see here, this was the new mark I made, and then down here, these were the original, and that one was the one that had the starch on it. So I don't think the starch is making a difference for this one, so I'm gonna just set that one aside from here. But here is the other one. You can see the lines there kind of fading, and up here were the new marks that I made. You can see that they are a little bit brighter than these. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna put some new marks on these, and I will show you the difference of like a fresh mark to these that were going on what we froze 3 times and pressed them out 3 times already. And then this one was 1 round each. And then I'll show you a brand new fresh mark so that you guys can see the difference and how much it is fading, which is great. Like I said, my cat is attacking me. Like I said, might be onto something there. But so I'm going to head upstairs and mark these up, show you guys, give them a press, and then we'll go for 5 minutes this time and see from there. All right, I just wanted to show you guys real quick. Right now I am pulling out the laundry. This was the one that I did not press or anything, and just drew on it and threw it in, and you can see that the ink is almost gone. There are still some little specks. Now we can't say for sure if it washed out or if the warm water helped get rid of it, but I would assume that it washed out. Otherwise I would think that all of it would be gone and not just these little specks, because it would be submerged in the water, which would then make it all the same temperature. So now I'm gonna throw everything in the dryer and then go from there. All right, so as I said, I was gonna come up here and make some new markings. So here's the paper. This is my new mark. This is the original. This is the one I did one before. So the paper, it's not really making a difference. I don't think it's not really fading too much. Like that's still pretty dark right there. And like these look like the same color. So the paper, I don't think it's really fading on. But then over here on this poly spandex, this is the mark I just made. This was my original one here. And then this was the one that I did. So that one has been pressed out once. And this is almost gone here. You can just see how much darker it is there. Here is this one. So this is my new marking, and then this is the original one, like I said. So much darker, very faded. And then the very last one, which I said I was going to toss out because this was the one that I starched, but like I said, I didn't think it was making a difference. So, but I just wanted to show you the new to the original. So I'm going to press these out, and then I'm gonna pop these in the freezer for 5 minutes and see what happens. All right, we are going for the 5 minutes. My timer just went off, and okay, so it is just barely starting to come through. You can't really, just kind of right there is really where it's coming through, and starting to kind of make a shadow. You can't really see it in the video, I don't think, but looking at it, I can kind of see more just looks like pressure lines. And then here is the ribbed spandex, and so this was the fresh line that I made. And then remember, I had the original ones, and then I had another one, and this is the only one starting to appear here. The other ones have not. And on this piece, I do not see, okay, there is a tiny, tiny bit that I'm seeing, just those little tiny dots there, but that is all. And yeah, so that's all I'm seeing now. So we're gonna say probably at about 5 minutes is where it starts happening. And if it's fresh, this one you can only see the new line that I made. I did it on this side. And then the other ones haven't started appearing yet. So it's really kind of at that 5 minute mark that it starts to being in below freezing. So now that we have that figured out, I'm gonna make fresh lines, press them, and I'm gonna put them in the fridge. And I'm gonna do the fridge, I'm gonna try 10 minutes first, because it's obviously warmer than the freezer, and see what happens with that. All right, I have my little assistant with me now, but I pressed all of these, and I made the marks kind of in the corners and stuff so that they're in certain spots so that I can tell which marks were the fresh ones that I just made, and then if the other ones come back, so that if the other marks come back from the other ones, I can tell a difference of which one. So we are going to put this in the fridge. There for 10 minutes, and we'll be back. So the fridge isn't as cold, so if one, it gets cold enough, I don't know, and two, if it is cold enough, it's probably going to take longer. So we're going to try the 10 minutes, and I will be back and let you know what happened. All right, so we are back from the washed pieces, and if you remember, I put those in for 10 minutes, and one was not pressed at all, but everything did disappear after being in the dryer. It was mostly gone after the wash. Then the other two I did press and erase those lines before I put them in the washer and then dried them. So now we're gonna pull them out, and let's see if the marks came back. All right, the first one, all right, nothing. Let's see, nothing on this one. So this was one that I just marked on and pressed, and those are gone, and that's on the cotton flannel. This was the one that I put starch on before I marked on it and then washed it. Again, nothing. Then this was the one that I marked on and didn't erase them with the heat, and again, nothing. So I am going to put these in now. Since nothing is even coming up on these after 10 minutes, I'm gonna put them in for half an hour and see what happens. All right, 10 minutes in, and we are going to check on the pieces we put in the fridge. And let's see here. I am not seeing anything on these pieces at all. So that doesn't do it. 10 minutes. Now, since we've kind of just established that it's not really doing anything, I am going to put these in the fridge and leave them, we'll go half an hour and then kind of see from there. So I'm gonna put them back in and set my timer, and we will see if the fridge does anything at a longer time. All right, going for the pieces we put in the freezer that, again, were all washed and dried. And it looks like nothing. nothing. So I think the washing probably worked. I think I'm going to now, I gotta get ready to go and run some errands and things like that. So I think I'm just going to put these in the freezer and leave them for maybe like an hour or so, maybe longer, depending on how long I'm gone, and just see. I'm thinking that it's not gonna come back no matter how long I leave it in there. I think it probably washed the ink out of it, but since we're just trying everything, we're going to throw them back in the freezer. And so it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now, and I'll see how long they stay in there and see if it shows up. All right, I am home. It is about 5 o'clock now, so now we are going to check the ones in the fridge, and then the ones that were in the freezer, the ones that I washed. I did the same thing after leaving them in the freezer for the shorter time. Nothing appeared, so I left them for about 2 hours now. So let's first see the fridge. All right, so the first is this one, and I am not seeing anything on this piece at all. Nothing. And this one, I am not seeing anything at all. And this was that white knit. And then on the paper I am seeing a couple really faint marks, like you can kind of see there, which then it also looks like those are spots where it was on the paper a lot thicker, but so it did come back just slightly, like you can see there. But for the most part, I would say that did not, even on a white shirt, you wouldn't really notice it. But after 3 hours in, let's see, our refrigerator is at 38 degrees. So there's that. All right, so now I'm gonna get the ones out of the freezer. And remember, these are the ones that I washed. So this first one, I pressed and then washed it. And so all of these, the first time I checked them, there was nothing on them. So just note that there was basically a blank slate. And this one does have little, you can kind of see right here, there's a pink mark, and there's a few other really faint, just like pink specks throughout, but for the most part, it didn't come back. And let's see, this was the one that I didn't press out. I just washed it, and there are some marks on it. This looks kind of like what it looked like coming out of the washing machine. It's not as much, but then when it went in the dryer, the heat erased it. But so the spots that were left coming out of the wash are pretty much back, but again, still pretty light and for the most part gone. And then last but not least, this is the one that I starched, drew on, and then pressed it out and then washed it. And this one, I do not see anything. So I think that maybe the starch did help kind of create a shield, so that then when it was washed, that ink wasn't in the fabric. But so nothing there at all. I'm not even seeing any little specks, and I did color up in the corner quite a bit. So now the last thing that I want to try just to see is these pieces that were in the fridge. I'm gonna pop them in the freezer for about 10 minutes and just to see if they come back now, and it's really just that difference of temperature. So I'm gonna pop them in the freezer and check them in about 10 minutes and see what they do. All right, so I put those original pieces that we were working with in the freezer, and I actually left them a lot longer. I left them overnight, so they've been in there for a long time. But I think we've kind of concluded that the time doesn't really matter once it hits a certain time. So let's check them now. So pretty much everything came back, but again, we can just see how much these original ones have faded. And the paper, oops, the paper didn't really fade too much on, but we're not really using paper, so it doesn't really matter. But you can see this was the latest mark I did, and then this was the original one, and they all look pretty much the same. And then here is the fabric one. So these were the new marks I made up here. Oops. Here, and then this line here, these are from the original one, so you can see how much those faded. So it's still a little bit dark down here where it probably just kind of gooped, because you can tell it's like a point of a line, you know, where you go over it more than once, but that has faded quite a bit. And so the very last test I am going to do is we're gonna wash these and then dry them, and then I'm just going to pop them straight in the freezer for about 20 minutes or so afterwards, and we will see, because I'm assuming just like the other ones, once these are dried, at the very least the color is going to disappear. I'm not going to press them or anything. I'm just going to go throw them in the laundry with my regular laundry, wash it how I normally would, dry it how I normally would, and then pop them in the freezer, and then we will see if the lines wash out. All right, I am going to toss these just in there, and I do use powdered Tide if that matters to anyone. I do find it is the best stain fighter, so that could impact how much comes out of it or not, I don't know, but I thought I would note it. And now we're just going to wash and see what happens. All right, we are back, and I have my little assistant back with me. So I washed and dried those fabric pieces, and I'm gonna chalk it up to my dryer ate the little white one, the knit fabric, because I could not find it. I know it came out of the wash because I found it in the wash and put it in the dryer, and I went through every single piece multiple times, couldn't find it. Moral of the story, don't wash a piece of fabric that's like the size of a quarter. Good luck. But I do have the other one, and it has been about 3 hours now that I left this in here. And let's see, so when it came out of the dryer, there was nothing on it, as I had said, I expected. And so I am seeing very, very faint pink dots. I don't know. Nope, see, yeah, there's a couple. And I'm just seeing them right there. And really, that's it. So from all of that, there's a couple up here at the top as well. A little bit right here in between there. I don't know if you can see that. And then just those couple right here. But for the most part, that means that all of this washed out and won't come back. And that concludes this fun little experiment. I had so much fun doing this, something completely different, like I said, than I normally do, but still producing results for our sewist. So again, these FriXion pens, I'll put a link to them down below if you want to check them out. Still, at the end of the day, I recommend these. I will continue to use them. The myth was not busted. They come back in freezing temperatures, not cold, because we did find that in the fridge they didn't come back. So it is that freezing temperature range. Obviously we don't know because we didn't change it, but we went from 38 to below freezing, and that's a 6-degree temperature change. And we had the result with the below freezing, we got to 38. So cold temperatures doesn't really affect it. And the other thing you have to think is a lot of the times, not necessarily, we're not necessarily also in clothes, but most of this stuff is going to be close to our bodies, so we are producing heat. So even if you have a shirt and you're sitting outside in below freezing temperatures, one, you're probably gonna have a coat on, unless it's your coat that you marked on, and two, you have heat coming off of your body, which is going to help raise the temperature of your fabric. So basically what I would say is, one, we did find that washing it washed most of this out, so I think that that is a great option. We also found this is what I used, is this Mary Ellis Best Press. I'll put a link to it down below as well. I love this. This is just a starch for when you press your fabric. It's a water-based starch, so it doesn't leave marks on your fabric, and it also has some sort of stain guard in it. I'm not really sure what it is, but like on here it says guards fabric from soiling, but we did find that the pen washed off completely when this was used and pressed first, and then this was used, then the pen was used on it. So basically, if you wash your clothes afterwards, you should be fine. And as long as you're not freezing your clothes, or I could see maybe like here in Indiana, it does get below freezing, leaving something in the car for an extended period of time if your car is sitting outside. I could see maybe that affecting it, but I don't really think it's going to be an issue with anything. Or like I said, just wash it. And as I said, I washed with a powdered Tide in a warm water, just like it's on my color setting, so right in the middle of the cold and hot. So you know, there's all kinds of different things that could affect it, but I will say, just like any other marking tool, you always want to test it on the fabric that you're going to be using first. You know, it could leave shadows, something. Different fabrics, different colors, different fibers take in colors differently. They hold on to things differently. So just cut a little square out before, no matter what you're using. If you're using chalk, if you're using a water-soluble marker, or just a Crayola marker, I use those sometimes as well, that wash out. Always check it first and make sure that the color is going to come out, because the last thing you want is to get all the way done with your garment and then go to remove your marks and find out that they are leaving some sort of shadow or staining, something bleeding through your project. And I will say, we did find too that the color was fading as we did it, and if your lines reappear, all you have to do is give it a press and they're gone, or you wash it and you throw it in the dryer and they're gone again. But like I said, I have used it for my clothes and I have never had an issue. It gets below freezing here in Indiana, never had an issue with anything. And we did only test the pink pen, not any of the other colors. So again, there's still all kinds of different variables, but I went through about as many as I could personally. You can give it a shot with some different variables yourself, you know, using different soaps, using different colors, using different fabrics, all kinds of things. But I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and I think that everybody should give these a try. They are great. Like I said, I still highly recommend them, and I will be using them for the future. I did just use it on, let me show you. This is a tote bag that I made, and I quilted it, and I used it. I marked my lines. I marked all of the lines on here with this exact pen, and then I just pressed them out to get rid of them. So that's just one way that you can use it. But if you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything about this video, feel free to leave a comment down below. You can also find me on Instagram. It's at Sewbex. That's SEWBEXX, and you can reach out to me there or just follow along on what I'm working on. Thanks for watching. Bye.